All right, good evening, guys. We have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for a very, very tiny portion of Michigan currently in the UP. So we'll go over that in just a second. In the meantime, though, pop in, let us know if you can hear us. I got Drew in the background as well. Drew, if you're here, you are on with me.
Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. I'm working on getting the stream set up behind the scenes here. The warning is going to be for 60-mile-per-hour winds in the very far southern tip of Menominee County. This is going to be in effect for 51 minutes as this line of storms approaches the very far southern tip of Menominee County. And yes, that is the only severe storm in the state. As of right now, the messy solution has verified. We talked about it this morning on the forecast in the written form. And on the video I put out this morning as well, just overall a lot more messier than what the model showed, and that as a result has kind of shifted the majority of severe weather further south. But we do have one area of concern here. That's going to be for Menominee County. I'm just getting the stream set up here. Just give me 1 second to get everything finalized. That's good. That's good. Perfect. Log into this. Places like Ingleston is Hanson, Birch Creek, and Q, as well as Menominee are the areas impacted right along US 41 here in the very far southern part of Menominee County. All right, we are set up. Perfect. All right, so we'll be live here until this storm has exited the state. This line is approaching the state line as we speak here. Go ahead and animate it for you guys. It's moving to the east here, a bit north as well, at around 50 miles per hour. So even though the warning is in effect for 51 minutes, I have to imagine this is going to be over pretty quickly as this line blows through the area. But still, a very nice looking line here. The warning just to the south of the state line in Wisconsin does contain the tag for a possible tornado. But our warning here in Michigan... Oh, sorry, Drew. There you go. Sorry, Drew. This warning here in Michigan is for 60-mile-per-hour winds. It does not have a hail or a tornado tag on it. So if we look at the radar here, we're going to see that the area of interest is going to be right between where these greens and reds are kind of meeting here. That's going to be our gust front as this line progresses to the east here. That was a terrible arrow. That was a terrible arrow. That's more like it as that progresses to the east here into Menominee County. Now, zooming out here and taking a peek, the other areas across the UP that were in a risk today, it's just a blob of rain currently. There is no storms up there at all. We go further east as well, perhaps a rumble of thunder over here in the eastern half of the UP, but again, just rain showers. And as we talked about this morning, the threat for the northern lower peninsula is low, but not zero, especially with things kind of shifting further south today. This line may progress across Lake Michigan and impact areas over here by Manistee and Traverse City later on tonight. So be mindful of that. We could have a few areas with some gusty, perhaps some severe winds over there. But otherwise, if you're further downstate, like, Grand Rapids, Detroit area, you guys are okay tonight. There's no risk for storms or severe weather. That risk comes tomorrow. We'll have more on that probably tomorrow morning on a briefing for how tomorrow is looking. But overall, models once again today have been utter trash for how this thing has evolved. And that's kind of why overall we've been kind of highlighting uncertainties with our forecast lately, just because these models really have not been hinting at anything accurate the past couple of days. New warning has been issued for Wisconsin here. It is not for Michigan, but it does match the Michigan warning with 60-mile-per-hour winds being the primary concern. No possible tag for a tornado.
as Ryan was mentioning, we're kind of anticipating this line here to move off to the east as it's doing so, and to weaken as it moves across the state. There is that marginal risk for northern lower Michigan, but once again, these storms will continue to weaken off. Wouldn't be shocked if there'd be a really cool shelf cloud potentially with this line here as it goes across Lake Michigan here. So for any of you guys that love to watch the storms on the lake, you might get a pretty good shelf cloud tonight if you want to view it briefly before obviously heading indoors. As a storm, I would assume that there would still be some sort of lightning for sure present with the storm or storm complex as it moves across into northern lower Michigan.
We'll have to keep an eye tonight, Drew, on our Manistee West camera as this line approaches, because if it does progress, continue eastward here, our Manistee cam right here would have a nice angle on that looking across Lake Michigan. So, in fact, I wonder if we switch over here, bottom left corner, cycle through our cameras here. I wonder if we can get a look at that. There's your west view currently. You can actually kind of see the cloud tops across the lake there. I don't know if it's cloud tops or is that just a layer of clouds out there. But either way, we'll have a good view on this probably later tonight. Hopefully when the sun goes down, perhaps some lightning shots with the camera here. But overall, we'll keep an eye on that as well. As Drew mentioned, keep an eye out northwest part of lower Michigan as this line progresses. Could have some good lightning opportunities, perhaps, so low chance of severe weather. As it sits, though, the storm complex, the line is now entering Menominee County. So again, this is moving pretty quickly to the east. I would expect this to be over here pretty quickly. Only hazard with it is winds up to 60 miles per hour. Places included are Ingleston, as well as Menominee, Birch Creek, Q, Hanson areas. Currently, though, north side of the line toward Wagner, Wallace, and Carbondale, not warned up there, but the northern edge of that line is going to push just north of that current warning box. So don't be shocked, even if you're just outside of this box to the north, you may get in on some windy action up here by the Wallace, Carbondale, over toward Arthur Bay and Beech Grove areas. After this line pushes across Menominee County, we'll probably hop off of here again, and we'll monitor behind the scenes just in case. But again, this is a very, very thin county, so it'll be pretty quick of a stream, I'd have to imagine, today with this storm. Thank you, Red, for the $20 super chat. It says, hi, everyone. You know it's hot and dry when the weeds are getting crunchy. Hope we get rain soon. Let's hope tomorrow, Red. If we have a chance across the lower peninsula tomorrow, let's hope we get some rain over there for you on the west side. That'd be appreciated. Keeping a close eye on velocity here. Being so far away from the radar, it's kind of hard to depict what's going on exactly. I'm using the Green Bay radar, actually, and there's no real rotation with this, just some gustier winds here as it pushes into Menominee County. That's going to be your wind gust front here as it progresses into the county. 60-mile-per-hour winds are possible as it does so.
See it by the Green Bay radar, an outflow boundary that's forming on the southern portion of the radar, or the southern portion of the severe thunderstorm warning that's in Wisconsin currently right now. So that's a little bit of a sign that it's starting to gust down, starting to weaken. We're not quite seeing that yet up here, but I wouldn't be shocked to see that as time goes by. So.
Do we have any moderators on Facebook? We got a couple spammers up there. Not sure if we have anybody on or not. But if one of you guys want to pop on, if there are no mods. See Kevin on here, gifting memberships. Thank you, Kevin, for that. Appreciate your support. Okay, cool. Hadley's on. Perfect.
Once again, across the UP, besides this area that we're watching, it's really just rain showers, maybe an occasional rumble of thunder. So thankfully, as we kind of mentioned as one of the possibilities yesterday of how today could trend out, Thankfully, it didn't trend out to be where we had a big line of embedded tornadoes. We had so much storms and rain showers that were present throughout the day today that pushed off the better instability further to the south and caused this more just to be kind of like a occasional scattered windbag kind of a setup in portions of Wisconsin. And it's just barely clipping the southern portion of the UP.
We'll say, Drew, I am intrigued to scan here on this part of the line where it's kind of curling in on itself right here. I'm going to watch that a little closer here. There is a low risk that we could have a tornado with this line here. It's a very, very small window here. I mean, this is only, we're talking like maybe 5 miles of land here, if that.
Yep.
About 10 miles or so. So a very narrow window here, but there is enough wind shear out there where I would not be shocked to see some rotation with these storms. And I'm thinking we're seeing the start of something here, at least potentially the start of something. Looking at velocity here, we got a little bit of a meeting there coming together with that indentation. We're going to watch that closely. That could be something trying to start there.
This line has had a history of notches throughout in Wisconsin, several tornado warnings that were issued and well-defined hooks, typical QLCS kind of setup. So as Ryan mentioned, we'll be kind of watching for that brief zone potentially for spin up tornadoes. We do have that shear, we do have the cape, we do have the ingredients for it to be possible, but once again, it is a narrow window at the same time.
So once again, southern Menominee County, severe warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds. There's no tag for anything tornadic. There's no tag here for anything hail-related, so it's just wind. However, again, not going to rule out a tornado happening just because there's enough wind shear there. Currently, though, we're not close to a tornado happening. This warning is in effect until 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time for the very far south part of Menominee County. Once it crosses Menominee County, it'll be over here towards Sister Bay, Fish Creek, and Bailey's Harbor here. This is Wisconsin. It's not Michigan over here. Latest scan, pop it in. Wait for this to upload here for the velocity. We're gonna run off. We're running off 3-minute scans here, so any second this should pop in. Oops. There it is. Latest scan kind of weakens that out. So good news there, but overall windy conditions moving in now to Menominee County near Menominee, and Q area is about to cross 575 or 577 here, and eventually US 41 in a couple minutes. This is moving east at 50 miles per hour. Welcome in Deanna from the Upper Peninsula. We don't have too many viewers up there. If you're from the UP here in chat, raise your hand here in chat. I'm curious how many UP watchers we have tonight. I know most of our audience is further downstate, but yes, we do cover the UP. So just out of curiosity, how many of you guys in here are from the UP? Looks like we have a new alert, or perhaps an update to the alert coming in. Nope, they went ahead and reissued it for the northern part of that line. We talked about that just a few minutes ago, how that north part could also see some gusty winds, and there's your warning. So, new warning now, again, for the southern part of Menominee County, just kind of extends it further north there. Stevenson, Palestine, Ingalls, Cedar River, and that is really all I'm seeing here affected. Arthur Bay, Beech Grove, Wallace, Ingalls, and Palestine in that new warning. 60-mile-per-hour winds is your only hazard with that. They did not opt it for a tornado tag on it. Kevin says a Uper. Gladwin, Pelston, Petoskey. Got family in Gogebic. Muskegon. Bonnie's from the Yoop. Terry's from the Yoop. Jody, Ari. Oh, we got a couple people in here. Good to see you guys in here. We don't have very many UP watchers here, so I'm not shocked, but I guess it's more of a surprise to see you guys in here. So glad to have you. We have quite a few of them in here, actually. It's awesome. But yeah, good news though. This is very isolated in nature to the very far southern part of Menominee County. Elsewhere in the UP, no real risk going on. Just some general rain showers, perhaps rumble of thunder if you're very lucky. And that should continue into the night hours here, as just rain showers can be expected. This line, though, may hold together across Lake Michigan. Current expectation is for it to weaken, but in the event it does push across the lake, it'll impact areas like Glen Arbor, Frankfort, Manistee, and Traverse City areas, perhaps as far north as Petoskey and Boyne cities. Boyne City. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see how far it makes it, if it does make it at all.
Looks like there's some gusty winds right over Green Bay itself, the bay itself, heading portions of Wisconsin right now on that leading edge of that bow.
Yeah, there's actually a few areas here all along this line, really, but even down here by the radar.
What will be interesting over time is as this line kind of moves over the lake, since Lake Michigan is a frictionless body of water, meaning there's no trees, there's no nothing, it's very flat. Winds can gust and, in a way, accelerate, if you want to say. But it'll be interesting because at the same time, when this line moves towards northwestern Lower Michigan, as Ryan was mentioning, several cities. It'll be a little bit far away from radar at first when it's on Lake Michigan, but thankfully when it gets closer to the Gaylord radar, we'll get a better understanding of how this line kind of all progresses here. And another tool we like to use too is mesoanalysis. It's our a very big help when it comes to days like today where there's a lot of flexibility in the forecast. It does wonders here to figure out how these lines and setups can progress.
Yeah, we're watching it. New warning incoming for the Wisconsin side of things. This is going to be for the Door County in northeastern Wisconsin. They're also going with just 60-mile-per-hour winds as the only hazard. So even though it's not Michigan, it is relatively close here is this a Upper Door Peninsula is all it's called. I feel like there's a better name for this. Up here by Sturgeon Bay. But yeah, this line, if you kind of zoom out here, we are already about halfway through the county in some areas. So this is going to be a pretty quick stream. I'll probably be live for another, I had to guess, 20 minutes probably for this warning before it pushes on to Lake Michigan here. And from there, we'll watch behind the scenes on what it does on Lake Michigan. If you need to go live again for the LP, we'll go live again then. But overall weakening is expected. So I guess it's more of a 60-40, 70-30 shot. We go live again, I'd say. Odds.
Yeah. Once again, central Lower Michigan and southern Lower Michigan and eastern Lower Michigan are dry for tonight.
I see a lot of people asking about tomorrow's forecast. It was posted this morning on our page here. If you're on YouTube, one of our monitors can link it. But our forecast for tomorrow was already posted. I'll go ahead and drop a link in chat for you guys on the Facebook side of things. There you go. Let's go ahead and check back in with our velocity. Yeah, still not seeing anything rotational wise, but gusty winds possible as it does push through here. Warnings are for 60-mile-per-hour winds, and this is the only county and only concern the state over the next hour or so. Yep, you bet. We can touch at the end of this stream here, at the end of the severe, we're going to touch on how tomorrow's looking. We're not going to go too in depth. I think we'll do a in-depth briefing tomorrow. But overall, there is a threat for severe across much of the lower peninsula tomorrow, mainly afternoon time frame. But again, there's a lot of uncertainty. Even with models getting a whole 24 hours more of runs, we're just not really confident in how it's going to evolve tomorrow. So I'll talk about that here once these warnings expire or the storms are on Lake Michigan here. And we'll just give me like 20 minutes or so. We'll go over it tomorrow.
It's like we have a special marine warning that just popped up on the Wisconsin side of Lake Michigan here for, I think, 50 knot.
Yep, wind gust to 50 knots is the only hazard listed with that. No hail in the text. The drought monitor will be updated tomorrow morning. I'll be curious to see how that looks for a lot of us here in the state. I know west side and the Tri-City areas are very dry. Excuse me, very dry. So this line of storms is progressing very quickly. It's over US 41 now, halfway through the Menominee County area here. Next on deck for this is going to be Cedar River, Arthur Bay, Johnson Landing, and Ingleston, as well as Birch Creek and Hanson. Door County, we're talking 60 mile per hour winds for you guys. You from Door County? Just out of curiosity. Any Wisconsin viewers? Flora, if this continues on its easterly track, I would expect it to be in the northwestern LP, roughly, probably around 9:30. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I want this. If we calculate this based on this, we're looking at about 84 minutes. So yeah, about an hour and a half or so. About 9:30 would be a good guess. But that's if it holds together. And once this line is out of the state onto Lake Michigan, we're gonna go ahead and do a mini briefing. I'll just go over models and kind of go over the forecast and just kind of explain to you guys what we're watching. Overall, confidence is not very high with tomorrow's setup. There's a lot of different avenues that could go.
We'll mention this, slightly off topic, but there was indeed a brush fire that was off the highway nearby Hudsonville, which is on the west side of Michigan. I didn't look in depth personally on what caused that brush fire, but I would not be shocked if that was due to just how dry we've been here in the west side of the state. So we need the rain here in West Michigan. So
hopefully we get some rain tomorrow. There's a good chance we can get some pop-up storms and perhaps even a line of storms, but it's not guaranteed. Zooming out here for the entire Upper Peninsula here, this is the only area down here that is of concern pushing through Menominee County as we speak. Elsewhere, it's just rain showers pushing in. Over here, heavier rain showers, but severe weather threat for the rest of the evening is very low. There's really not much else here supporting severe weather. So if you're not in the Upper Peninsula here, if you're not, should I say, from Menominee County, you're fine. And if you're not from the north corner of northern lower, you're also okay. This circled area has potential, especially on this half, for some stronger storms if that line holds together. But elsewhere across the state, you guys are fine, UP included. Go ahead and check our velocities once again. Yeah, it's very hard. Let's go ahead and check our Green Bay radar. So the bulk of it right now, the gust front's going to be directly just east of US 41 here. Going to be in Ingleston very shortly, Arthur Bay, Beech Grove momentarily, and up here by Stevenson, Palestine, and Cedar River shortly. I'm kind of curious. I'm looking at. Hey Drew, I'm looking at the radar here. This area up here is kind of drifting northward here. If that
Yeah.
continues and that actually strengthens, perhaps the eastern UP, pretty much east of Munising, east of Manistee, perhaps a low end severe threat over here if that line continues. It's kind of popping up out of nowhere, so to speak, as it progresses to the northeast here. So maybe, just maybe, that's going to form into something. But yeah, I guess if you're on the eastern part of the UP, don't let your guard down, as this could develop additional storms and kind of push northeastward. We'll have to watch those a little closely. Thank you, Paramom, for the super chat. Appreciate your support. There is a flood advisory as well for Menominee County. Expires in 3 hours or so. Minor flooding in low-lying areas and poor drainage areas is the note there. So keep that in mind. Places like Daggett, Stevenson, Kearney, and White Pine Heavens. Or White Pine Haven, sorry. For the most part, though, this line is progressing as expected very quickly through Menominee County. Once it exits, we'll do a briefing here on how tomorrow looks. We'll also keep an eye on the radar on these storms up here in case these do continue to form and blossom and head into the eastern UP. It's kind of weird because the line is progressing pretty much due east here, and then what's up here is kind of going north on its own. So interesting to note. My nose is clear. Do I sound stuffed up?
I think you're fine.
Okay.
I will say, too, the better surface instability is more along with that Boeing line. Not so much with those storms up north, but there is still enough elevated cape and shear where those storms could still be storms, nevertheless. So, better surface cape is further south with this line. And where it's bowing out, where we have all those severe thunderstorm warnings currently in place.
Actually, Drew, they just issued an MD for the very extreme southern part of the UP here. Like, I'll go ahead and try and draw this. Kind of like right here. Looks like this. They've issued an MD here. Severe watch possible. Chance of issuance is 40%. Discussion says a line of thunderstorms now moving through the Green Bay area has produced reports of wind damage and measured gusts of 60 to 65 miles per hour. This line will move eastward across Lake Michigan and eventually into portions of northern Michigan and the Upper Michigan Peninsula. It is uncertain if this line will maintain intensity, given decrease in storm fuel with eastward extent across the region. Loss of daytime heating as well. Nonetheless, a gradient of mixed layer instability around 500 to 1500 joules remains in place, along with deep layer shear around 30 to 35 knots. Progression of this line will be monitored, but a watch is not anticipated at this time. So the mesoscale discussion says watch possible, that the text says watch is not likely or not anticipated. So kind of confusing there, but they're going to watch it, I guess, and just kind of see if it holds together is what they're trying to say. Interesting to note. Drew, is your screen live?
No, but I can get it pulled up here
Yeah,
quick.
pull it up just in case here. Yeah, these are kind of blossoming up here, which is really interesting to watch. Went from nothing to, hey, there's storms here.
All right, I think it's shared here.
Yep, you're good. It's there.
Trying to pull up some live cams around the Jacksonport, Wisconsin area to see if we can view if there's a shelf with this line at all.
I'd be curious if there is one. I bet if there is one, we're going to see
Yeah.
it tonight on the Manistee cam.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm struggling.
Back to Menominee County here. This is about to exit Menominee onto Lake Michigan. Once it does so, we will go over a briefing here. I'll say the latest couple scans here, they don't look impressive. That's for sure, for wind at least. A new marine warning now for the waters of Marquette's jurisdiction. It's going to be for wind gusts of 34 knots or greater. It's going to be this northern purple box here on Lake Michigan. That general area. Keep an eye on that. Perhaps a couple statements being issued out ahead of that line as it progresses to the north. It's quite interesting. Again, if you're just tuning in here, this line, it's unsure if it's going to hold together across the lake. If it does, it'll arrive over here by Glen Arbor, Leland. Yeah, Leland, Glen Arbor, Empire, Frankfort, Arcadia, Onekama, and Manistee areas in about 70 or so minutes, right around 9:15, 9:30-ish. .60-mile-per-hour winds is your hazard. The good news, though, is this line is now pushed off almost entirely onto Lake Michigan here. Here's the leading edge of it. So we have a few more minutes here of the core to get through in Menominee County, and then we'll go over how tomorrow looks. In the meantime, Drew, I'm going to plop you on the screen if you don't mind. I'm going to set up my screen for running through how tomorrow looks, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay. You are all set.
Once again, we're watching this line here, as Ryan mentioned, as it moves off to the east, or it's been slightly picking up in speed here in these past few scans. We're going to be watching more in northwest lower Michigan here. There is a small risk for severe weather, as once again that mesoscale discussion mentioned, for a 40% chance of a severe thunderstorm watch. We do have that marginal risk in portions of northwestern lower Michigan as well. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this line here. Currently, Ryan is getting geared up to do a brief. We'll do a brief discussion on tomorrow. It won't be anything too long or too crazy in depth. We're going to be mainly focusing that for more tomorrow morning when we have more and better confidence. Tomorrow's setup has been very difficult to forecast. Every setup is difficult, but tomorrow is definitely the case. And we'll explain that briefly here on why that's the case. So we'll explain that here eventually once these severe thunderstorm warnings cancel eventually for the UP. Once again, this line has had a history of producing severe winds, as well as several tornado warnings in Wisconsin, with several notches with this line here as it continues to move off to the east. Can't fully rule that out as it moves off to the east, but once again, this line is anticipated to weaken. We do have a capping inversion that is starting to build up here across the state. What that basically means is it's a lid to limit anything surface-based. So what does that mean? That means it's more difficult for damaging winds to reach down to the surface, and it's even more difficult for any spin-up tornadoes to occur. So that's something to be mindful about as this continues to move off to the east here. We still will have some leftover cape where these storms could be still strong to potentially low and severe as well, especially if this line continues to pick up speed. If it continues to pick up speed and hits northwest lower Michigan here, places like Manistee, Frankfort, Glen Arbor, Traverse City, before it gets dark, then I would say your chances of severe weather are slightly higher. But once again, it's nothing like super concerning as of now. It's just something that we're kind of monitoring here behind the scenes here. So once again, the rest of UP, I would say eastern portions of UP and extreme southern portions of the UP do have that low end severe risk. Places like Iron Mountain, Iron River are all clear, just getting rain showers right now. So anywhere behind this line is all clear, in my opinion. Just some heavy rain showers occasionally. I know you guys have been getting a lot of rain in the UP. We've had some flash flooding instances earlier this morning. And once again, we are anticipating more rainfall to be associated with this line as it continues to move off to the east here. Once again, I would not be shocked to see more special marine warnings popping up across Lake Michigan here. These are these purple like box features that are popping up across here. Those are usually issued for boaters or any freighters that are out and about to give them a head notice. Once again, we're watching this little bit cluster that's starting to develop on the northern fringe of this line here. Mainly just some gusty winds, very, very heavy rainfall, and lightning would be present with this northern portion of the line here as it continues to move off to the northeast. So we'll be watching that here closely. Main focus, though, is this line, which now in more portions of Wisconsin and now just entering Lake Michigan. Zoom out here and put this on loop to show you guys the general direction of this line here.
I'm all set up whenever this line is off.
Okay.
In fact, looking at the latest scan there on radar, this line is pretty much all but off.
Yeah.
Just some lingering rain showers there. The worst of it's on Lake Michigan right now. Let's go ahead and do a quick dive into tomorrow, if you guys don't mind. And once I'm done with that, we're going to pop out of here and monitor behind the scenes. And we'll go back live later on this evening if we need to for the northwest corner of the LP. Now, let's go ahead and switch this back over here. I should be good to go. I am. Go ahead and pop our weather camera there in Manistee off the screen. All right, let's go ahead and talk about tomorrow, starting with the SPC outlook. SPC has continued the low-end risk. We call it a marginal. It is level 1 out of a scale of 5, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest risk. It's everybody in the LP. From Gaylord down to Ann Arbor, you are in a low-end risk tomorrow. The UP, however, no risk up there besides general thunderstorms. So severe weather is not expected tomorrow in the UP. Per the SPC, the only hazard is damaging wind. It's a 5 to a 14% chance of that occurring anywhere in that brown color on the map. Our forecast is a tad bit different. We're going to go over that in just a second. They just canceled the warning for Menominee, so good timing on that. Perfect. So no more warnings there for Menominee County. So with that said, let's go over the models. So here is the ARRR. And I want to preface this and say the models have done absolutely terrible over the past 15 to 30 days or so. They typically struggle in summertime, but they've struggled really hard this year. And because, like today, another example would be like we had all the models showing a decent squall line pushing in to the western part of the UP around this time. And that was shown this morning and didn't happen. So even when we get close to these events, model guidance is very iffy. So take everything I'm about to show you with a grain of salt. Okay. Here is our main model we use called the ARRR. This is the most commonly used model across meteorology and the weather field. This is tomorrow afternoon. This is at 3 p.m. here. Here's 4 p.m. and there's 5 p.m. Pop-up storms there are going up across central lower Michigan. Here is 6 p.m. Those continue to kind of expand and spread. There's 7 p.m. There's 8 p.m. 9 p.m. A cluster of storms really across southern Michigan. There's 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and midnight. And by about midnight, that model says we're done with storms. All right. Let's look at the secondary model here, the RFS. This is one of the models that have been pretty good so far this year, but failed hardcore the past couple of times. Here's noon tomorrow. Here's 1 p.m. Here's 2 p.m. Here is 3 p.m. 4 p.m. Nasty storm up there by Alpena. Here's 5 p.m. or dry, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. By about 7 o'clock or so, this model says we have storms going up across south and east Michigan. There's 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., and there's midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 a.m. there. All right. That model keeps things further south for the most part. Here is another model, the NAM3. This one does an okay job sometimes. But this model also kind of agrees with the latest model that says, hey, by about 4 o'clock or so, we have storms firing up in the southeast part of the state. Right around 4 o'clock, there's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock, 9, 10, and then there's midnight. So once again, southeast part of the state. And then the most robust model tomorrow is the FV3. The FV3 is kind of going ham on things. So here is noon tomorrow. There's 1 o'clock. Here's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Scattered storms develop there from Alpena down to about Grand Rapids. There's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10, 11, and then there is midnight. So this is the most robust of them all. But if you notice, the trend is similar across most of these models. Somewhere along a line from Alpena down to about Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids area, perhaps a tad bit further east than that, that's where storms want to fire up tomorrow. Now, the big question is how much of a cap we're going to have tomorrow. There's a slight cap in place. The cap is basically a lid on the atmosphere. It's a layer of warm air that prevents storms from bubbling up. Once it hits that cap, it kind of hits it and goes, I can't get through this. It can't grow anymore. So if that happens, we have a cap in place. It's going to keep our convective, our storm response, a tad bit lower. Now, if that cap is breakable, that means more storms. There's not a big lift mechanism tomorrow. There's not a huge low pressure nearby or a ginormous shortwave. There is an outflow boundary, though. The outflow boundary is going to be from tonight's weather. So what happens tonight directly affects tomorrow. And right now, models are settling on that boundary from about Alpena down to about Grand Rapids or so. And that's what's firing off these storms off that boundary. That's our assumption. That's our forecast. So our version of this, because looking at ingredients for tomorrow, taking a look at the instability, we have plenty of it. Let's go ahead and fast forward this to the afternoon. Go ahead and reset this. There we go. There's your instability tomorrow across much of lower Michigan. We're looking at 2,000 to 3,000 joules of surface cape. That's a lot. That's really unstable. It's going to support a severe threat if storms can get going. With that, though, we do have wind shear that pushes into the region as well, especially in the late afternoon time frame here. Right about this time frame, 4 or 5 o'clock. Anything in green or yellow or red's really good. The blue's a little bit weaker, but if you look in the green area here, we have a good sheared environment across much of the lower part of southeast part of Michigan, really. Go to 5 o'clock here, 6 o'clock. Those were the storms we're firing up there. Some better wind shear kind of arrives at the same time. it could support a severe threat there. But putting that all together, our forecast is a bit more aggressive in nature just because what we saw this morning was a little bit more aggressive. We had a little bit more aggressive response on models. We do think that line from Alpena down to about Kalamazoo is where storms fire, and that's why we have a level 3 risk out there in yellow for that eastern half of lower Michigan. So that translates in our forecast version to a 15 to 24% chance of a damaging wind gust with any storm that occurs within level 3 area. Peak timing on that is looking a little bit later than expected, so looking at 2, 3 o'clock and afterwards. We put 12 o'clock there as a precaution because boundary setups like this one tomorrow can fire off early. Wouldn't be shocked if it does. Models say a little bit later on than that is the expectation. We also feel there is a low-end risk. Well, first off, there's your damaging wind risk there. Level 3 zone, 15-24% there in yellow. It is a 5 to 14 in green, and then in the blue there is 1 to 4%. Going here to the hail outlook, it is a low risk across the state. Not really expecting too much hail tomorrow. 1 to 4% chance that a storm produces hail, severe hail in the blue risk zone there. But also similar area here, a very low end risk for a tornado possible. 1 to 3% chance of that happening with any storm that occurs tomorrow anywhere in blue. So very low end risk here for hail and anything tornadic. Damaging wind should be the primary concern. And if we can get a line that forms and pushes outward, that would be really concerning just because the environment and the overall pattern supports some damaging winds here. So overall, we decided to go level 3, a little bit more aggressive there, but it's all dependent on if storms can fire, break that cap, and organize themselves. Okay? With that said, that is the overall forecast for tomorrow. And ending on that note, I want to give a shout out to our spotlight sponsor of the day. It is on the graphic there, but I'll go ahead and overlay it here as well. It is Schneider Commercial Building Solutions. If you have commercial building or roofing solutions across Michigan, give Schneider a call at 888-722-7027. And as always, thank you to Schneider for being a sponsor here at MSC and being a trusted partner providing services to you guys. Drew, did I miss anything?
No, I think you kind of covered it all. Once again, very tricky forecast. A lot that goes into it. You know, for me, myself, I don't know about for Ryan, it's been kind of a headache just trying to figure out, you know, looking at different models. Some models have been showing some pretty goofy things tomorrow in terms of just dew points and stuff like that. And we could give a forever lecture about all that, but we're not. We'll talk about that more tomorrow morning. So we'll just kind of see how things play out. The good news is once this line moves through, then we're going to have a much, much better idea because then we'll know better where that boundary or boundary will be at, as Ryan was mentioning. And that will give us a much better idea on how the day will play out. So,
Yep.
I
think tomorrow morning will be the real deciding factor of how it's going to play out. We're going to watch real-time data. We can look at where that boundary at, if there is even going to be a boundary, and get a better idea. This could really, honestly, it could bust hard tomorrow, truthfully.
Yep.
Today, you can say it busted hard. Today or tomorrow could be the exact same thing. So models have not got us close, honestly. Usually we say models can get you close, but lately they haven't been getting us close at all. So take with a grain of salt. The environment tomorrow, there's a lot of instability. There's enough wind shear there to warrant concern. We have a decent trigger there with an outflow boundary, but it's conditional. So we got to get the stuff to come together first to get a threat.
A wild Joel appears in the background.
Well, hello, Joel. We got Joel. He has joined us.
He's in a new room.
He has been busy doing stuff. I'll let him say if he wants to, but he's been busy the past couple of days. He had a couple of days off. So all the forecasts that have been made today and tomorrow have been from me. So tomorrow we'll have your meteorologist back on track here. Hopefully. I expect you, Joel, to do the forecast tomorrow, please. It's been a nightmare over here. But no, it's been a fun past couple of days trying to figure this out.
Seems like it. I just moved home permanently from Mount Pleasant officially. My days in Mount Pleasant are up. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been moving out.
Are you back, though, for sure, for coverage tonight and tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Awesome.
You might have noticed there's an empty shelf over my shoulder here
Yes.
for things.
Things like a duck, maybe.
Perhaps, I don't know.
I'll send you. I'll send you the duck I have. Yeah. Anyway, any questions, guys, about tomorrow's risk, or even tonight? Really, there is a risk tonight for the northern part of Lower Michigan and perhaps the eastern part of the UP. So if you guys got questions, now's the time to ask them. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap up and monitor behind the scenes in the event we have to go live. I believe Joel will be hosting that later on tonight if need be. So let us know. We'll give you a couple minutes here. If not, we're going to wrap things up.
Shoot.
Drew, I'm going to take your screen back if you don't mind. I'm going to get
Yeah.
my radar pulled back up there. I'm going to X out all of the... Probably a bad idea I just did that, but I X out all the models, so... Hopefully nobody asks questions about the models.
Yeah. Once again, we'll be watching this lighting segment here as it moves. It's now in Lake Michigan right now. And there you go. New special marine warning is now for our side of the lake, for Lake Michigan here.
Wind gusts to
Oh.
nearly 50 knots, so that's close to being severe there. We'll have to kind of watch that closely.
Be in effect until 10 p.m.
Yeah, this line should arrive roughly around between 9:30 or so. I'm going to say 9:17 it'll arrive or so. That's just best guess.
Yeah.
That's if it holds together. Tomorrow, yes, there is the heat index tomorrow across much of south central Michigan is going to be 100 to 105. That's still on track. Michael asked, you announced locations of the new cameras yet? We have. My thing is dropping. I'm not sure if we're still live or not. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So this is courtesy of Raptor Industries down there in the Hudson area. They have a west cam for weather. And we also have a north cam, our first Aurora camera in South Michigan. So we're excited for that. We have both west and north views here. Again, thank you to Raptor Industries for sponsoring the cameras and also being a part of our weather camera network here in the state of Michigan. That's one new spot today. Also, this has not been announced on the page yet, but they just got this live for us literally about an hour and a half ago. This is Electronic Tech Solutions in Riverview, Michigan, which is downriver area on the east side. This is facing west. And again, I want to thank you to the Electronic Tech Solutions there in Riverview, Michigan for another camera going up today. So appreciate these guys hopping on for sponsorships. And also there's now a camera at my house, MSC HQ. That's going to be utilized as well. So 4 new cameras today, and we have at least 2 more coming tomorrow. So stay tuned for those. If you guys didn't catch the latest cameras past couple of days, we have Apex Restoration and Grand Blank also providing us with 2 cameras, one facing southwest here on your screen. Other one is currently down at the moment, but it's facing north there. Another Aurora camera up there by Grand Blank. So that's going to be coming in handy for the Aurora. So awesome. Got a lot of cameras going in here, guys. We got several more locations coming. And yes, another important note there. I see a lot of questions all the time in our comment sections if we're going to stream these cameras to you guys. The answer is yes. We just found a solution today. We're about 90% sure it's going to work. We'll have a for sure answer tomorrow. But for locations that want to stream these cameras, they will do so. We'll have an option for them to do that. So not all the cameras. It's going to depend on locations for privacy reasons and stuff like that. But the ones we will or can stream, we will stream. So yes, it's coming soon. We're about 90% sure we got that figured out. Well, Joel, Drew, anything you guys want to add to the briefing here? Threats, anything at all?
Nope, I'm good here.
I gotta get caught up.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and wrap things up then. We'll go ahead and go through our sponsors. Sponsors here help keep us operational, also provide services to you guys, all vetted and trusted through our process we put them through. So if you need their services, feel free to contact them, or if you need help getting, I can't talk. If you need help getting connected with the right sponsor, feel free to reach out to us directly. Starting with StormGuard Roofing and Construction. They're based in Detroit metro area. We have Lifestyle Exteriors based in the Lansing area. We got Katz Roofing and Siding based in Potterville. Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding based in the Thumb of Michigan. McKay Tree Specialists based in Southeast Michigan. Kuiper Tree Care in West Michigan. On Top Roofing in Livingston County. FBI Buildings across much of Michigan, providing barndominium needs across the state. The spotlight sponsor of the day, Schneider Commercial Building Solutions for roofing, building, and commercial needs across the state. Get a hold of Schneider. Shield Public Adjusters for insurance claim or adjusting needs. Feel free to contact Shield. Got Top Gun Roofing Exteriors based in West Michigan. A-Class Construction and Restoration in Mason County. Rainbow Restoration in Kent County and surrounding areas. Rapid Radios for our communications across our chasers to the hosts. And last but not least, Guardian Technologies, our Skycam sponsor, also providing services such as security, audio, video, and access controls. Feel free to give Guardian a call. They're based on Burton. Thank you to all the sponsors.
Ryan, there is one more, Ryan. Ronald McDonald House of Detroit. You probably haven't added it in yet, but Ronald McDonald House of Detroit also is one of our sponsors here. So if you would like to help out families in need, feel free to donate to the Ronald McDonald House of Detroit.
Thank you, Joel, for hopping in there. I did not have that on my end yet.
You bet.
All right. Kendra, we just talked about tomorrow about 15 minutes ago, so back up and rewatch it. All right, with that said, we're going to go ahead and roll the outro. And if need be, I'm sure Joel will be live here with either Drew, myself, or maybe all three of us. As this line progresses, it becomes warned in the West Michigan area, or Northwest Lower Michigan area, up by Manistee, Traverse City area. We'll go back live if need be. With that said, you guys enjoy your evening. Enjoy the nice outro that is about to roll here. You guys have a great evening. Stay safe.